Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Quorum Podcast. This is where academic medicine meets remote, austere, and resource-limited areas. Welcome back to the program. This is Aebhric O'Kelly. This week, we're with John Clark, who is the Executive Dean of the College. John, welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
So you've been our guest before, so tell us what's been keeping you busy.
Oh, it is amazing the reach, the depth, and the breadth of Quorum. I have been in the role of Executive Dean for just about 18 months, and it's amazing. Each day is a new challenge of places and people around the globe. It's an amazing school that you've put together, and I'm so happy to be at the helm of it.
This week is the start of season 3 of our podcast, and it also is our new academic year, the 2024-2025 academic year. What do you have planned for the college?
Well, some really exciting stuff happened with the beginning of this semester. Our doctorate in health studies launched again. We had to suspend it for a short period of time while we worked through some copyright and intellectual property issues. And we've now resolved all of that and have received accreditation from MFHEA. And so the new cohort started September 1st. And I'm happy to report that we have a handful of new students and are joining the group that started the original cohort a couple of years ago. So that's off to a good start right now. And that's an exciting opportunity. I think any of the listeners there that are thinking about what's the next step in their career. Our doctorate in health studies is a research-focused doctoral program. And if there's one thing that we are really bad at as EMS providers, as paramedics, as austere medicine, is getting really solid research built and published. And that's what the doctorate really focuses on, is getting some of the things that we know work and some of the things that we do, in our day-to-day practice, but we need to get out there and validate and have peer reviewed. And that's really an exciting opportunity for our doctoral students. The other thing, just our numbers continue to grow. We have 17 new bachelor students coming in this semester. That brings our total load for people in the bachelor's program in remote paramedic practice up to 44. That's a big program, and we've been adding some faculty and revamping the program and trying to keep everything updated and new and exciting, and that's really good news. And I can't speak enough about the team. Tim Cranton running first year, Dr. Mallinson running second year, and then Vish Rajan wrapping up the students with third year. It's just really good. And Mike Morrow, who is our program coordinator for that program, he's doing great things, keeping everybody on track, keeping them moving through the course. It's really exciting to see the interest that's come on in the last year or so. And then the other program that continues to be kind of our flagship, if you would, is of course the Master's in Austere Critical Care. It's again growing. We have 37 students registered in somewhere in the pathway of their 18-month journey to get their master's degree. And that's really an exciting opportunity as we continue to grow that here in the U.S. One of the things with the U.S. market is that as a associate degree person, you are eligible for entry into the master's program in a European degree program. So that's an opportunity for, especially line paramedics, people separating from the military that maybe haven't finished a bachelor's degree yet. It's a great opportunity to step up and do a fun program. And then just along those lines, the other thing that is relaunching, we have a really interesting new faculty member that we brought on about 6 months ago, Nicholas Zuber. He's a PhD paramedic that is running the Master's in Global Health. And that has been revamped and is ready to start accepting new students right now. And that's going to be a really great program. Nick has some great ideas to push that forward. Having Nick on board, one of the things he's looking at is the diploma in tropical medicine and revamping that for us and bringing that online probably in early 2025.
So that's been a difficult program to design. I mean, I created it and put it through the MFHEA qualification program. But yeah, getting that up and running has been a harder job than I thought. And there's 11 or 12 DTMH programs out there in the world, the Diploma of Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. And I talked to a few of them, and none of them would accept paramedics. Very few of them accept nurses. Most of them say, if you're a doctor, can you take the program? So I disagree with that. And so this is the only one that will accept paramedics.
And I think the mission that you've put together with Quorum and that we're continuing to move forward is that focus on paramedics working in these really unique, austere, and remote environments. I mean, as a springboard to the diploma in tropical medicine piece, look at the work that we've done ensuring and kind of encouraging folks to pursue their FOM. And while paramedics are eligible, the way that WMS has set that up, it's really physician centric. And I think it's really exciting that we're taking some of these programs and really making them accessible to the paramedic population.
Indeed, there's not a lot of fellowships available to paramedics, and WMS has definitely led the way with that. And I'm profoundly proud of the fact that the college has been supportive of WMS and working with WMS. In fact, we're even on their wiki page for WMS and trying to push that knowledge, that information here in Europe, as well as IBSC. So IBSC, we've been trying for a decade now to push the flight paramedic and critical care paramedic and other board certifications here in Europe and Africa.
Well, as you say, Aebhric, you'd mentioned about it's about relationships, and that relationship that we have with WMS, that we have with the IBSC, that we have with FlightBridge. Those are the things that really expand the reputation and the reach of Quorum. And I mean, even if you look at the faculty that presented at SOMSA in Raleigh this year, the what used to be TACMED Mini in Sweden coming up, and then the CMC conferences, we always have faculty from Quorum that present to those. And that's about relationships. Having a relationship with those conferences and those people is how we get the mission of Quorum to expand the education to these people that really, really need it and are hungry for it. That's what's so exciting.
And I continue to push our students to put in abstracts to speak at these conferences as well. So it's not just faculty. We have six or eight faculty that have presented at conferences this year, and I keep pushing for our students to do that as well. So they do have a lot to share with their experiences in Tanzania as well as their own work experience.
Yeah, and we've kind of built some academic work around this. Now, probably many of the listeners, if not all of the listeners, are familiar with the Compass. Jason Jarvis has done a phenomenal job as the editor of that in making it what it is. But it's really just kind of been our newspaper, if you would, for the college. And now the idea is to expand that into kind of our magazine that not only covers things that are happening with the college, but also things that in medicine, there's usually a book review. There's some great just information in there, but that we are going to have been encouraging the bachelor students to start writing content for that, recognizing that it's not a peer-reviewed journal, but that it's a good opportunity for somebody who's never written something for publication to focus on that. So, encouraging the bachelor students to get something into the Compass. And then I think big news for 2025, this was an enormous undertaking. And again, the faculty at Quorum for even suggesting this and then jumping on it and saying, yeah, I think we can do this. I guess now's a great time to announce that we are starting a peer-reviewed journal, the Journal of Improvised Medicine, aka JIM. But that'll be Quorum's peer-reviewed journal. And looking at, the population for the students that they serve, the remote, the austere, but it'll be a mechanism not only for the students to publish peer-reviewed research, but also for anybody in the community that's looking for a way to publish and get their ideas and thoughts out there, and is in the new journal. So the Journal of Improvised Medicine, look for it somewhere in 25, but we're getting a lot of work done on that right now, and that'll be a really exciting thing. What do you think about that idea?
I have to blame Dr. Chubba Diasegi for that one. It never entered my mind, and he was teaching in an eye care course, and he saw all the improvised stuff we were discussing, and he's like, wait, why are we not creating a journal for all this stuff? First he asked, like, okay, where are you going to publish this? And I'm like, well, Wilderness Medicine Society maybe, or there's nothing out there. And so I have to blame Chubba, and I will continue to blame Chubba for this idea of the gym. And I think it fits a niche, because the other option is like, oh, we're going to do Journal of Austere Medicine. Well, there's tons of them out there. There's tons of wilderness medicine. There's tons of operational medicine journals out there. No one's looking at this topic.
Yeah, I think that it is, when we come across some of these things, especially when we're out, the students are in Tanzania, or we're looking at other remote sites for student experiences. They come back so jazzed and excited about, God, I got to tell you about this. Well, here's a great opportunity to tell the world about it in a peer-reviewed journal. So look forward to Jim. I think that's going to be a really exciting project. And as the listeners are out there, put your thinking cap on and decide what would be a topic that you might be able to publish something on. It's really, really an exciting undertaking.
So speaking of Tanzania and adding Ghana to that, you and I are heading there next month. What will we be doing?
Yeah, so this will be kind of, I feel a little bit like it's a worldwide trip of crazy travel, but for about a month, I will be on the road between Africa back to the United States for one of the big transport conferences, and then back to Malta for another exciting thing we'll mention in a few minutes. So yeah, you and I are taking off, headed to Ghana first. We're going to discuss a relationship there, to have another clinic opportunity in Africa. We have a master's student that has been instrumental in putting this together. Emmanuel Akapong has offered to make the introductions, and he's been laying the groundwork for it. But we'll be going to Ghana to create essentially another academic clinical site for our students. And then from there, we'll fly the whole way across Africa to Tanzania to visit our current setting and look at how we can improve that site, as well as looking at some enhancing the sites up the mountain in Kabosha. So that'll be a really interesting time for me to see the clinic in Ghana. Actually, neither of us have been to that clinic, have we, Aebhric?
I've not. I've set up the GNAS, the Ghana National Ambulance System in Accra, but I didn't set up Kumasi. So it's a new one for me as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be really, really kind of exciting to do this, and then to go over to KCMC, and we're looking at upgrading our housing and ensuring just that program continues to offer what it does. So amazing opportunity to be there for both of us.
Yeah, I haven't been back in ages, and it's kind of like my second home. And our flagpole in Africa, so KCMC has been near and dear for, 10 years now that we started sending people down.
I'm amazed. I'm always excited. The outside interest, not only among our students, but by other medical schools that are interested in clinical opportunities and have heard about our relationship with KCMC, and that they want to send their students, or individual students want to seek out a relationship and go there. So really an amazing experience. And when you read the bachelor students, when you read their journals, their clinical journals of the experiences they had, the complexity of the patients and just the humanity of being there. It's just such a remarkable experience. We definitely, it is part of quorum. It is part of the fabric, and we need to make sure that that's strong.
So, John, you've had the job of executive dean for 18 months or so now. What what is your favorite part of the job?
Well, I mean, as a tourist, my favorite part is coming to Malta and teaching or being there and interfacing with the students. For any of the listeners that have been to our campus in Pretty Bay, we are outgrowing that facility, and we need some other things to happen. So, as you know, we're moving up the street and keeping the Pretty Bay campus, but we're going to add an additional campus that has a large lecture hall, and then two other smaller spaces, plus an outdoor training area. And we will take occupancy of that in October and start to do a little bit of painting and touch up and putting our fingerprint on it. And hopefully some of the classes that are scheduled for November, whether eye care or TTEMS, and maybe even the ABIS class, will have an opportunity to work in that new classroom setting and that new space that we have there in Malta. I think the second thing that's most exciting for me about it is just this international network. And through some of these networks and some of the people that we know and that reach out to us, we've been doing teaching. We've been sending faculty groups to the Ukraine to do some teaching for their combat medics. Actually wrapping up a program in Sweden right now. Some things in Germany with some U.S. forces. Continuing to work with the Norwegian Civil Defense Group. And also we have that neat relationship now with the Armed Forces of Malta. So that is probably my favorite part, is just getting all of these people from all over the globe to listen to what they do and all the things that they encounter and what they want to improve patient care. That's amazing to me.
It has been a high point in my time with the college, and even now as dean emeritus, to be able to see the collaboration, to see the eagerness, the passions of each of the network that you're putting together, that I've put together before, and having a group of people from various different countries get our training and hopefully become better at what they're doing.
It's also amazing the reach. I without violating any privacy issues or any intellectual property issues. I was having a conversation. We have a relationship with Flightbridge Ed, that's based in the United States, do extremely strong online continuing education. They also have a conference that they offer every year called FAST, that focuses on some of the really best speakers in paramedicine that are out there. But I was actually speaking with their CEO and president, Eric Bauer, and he said, "Hey, we're talking about working with this group. Have you ever heard of them?" And it was funny. I had to laugh. One of our master's students is one of their lead faculty members, and it was just funny. And he's like, everyone. But it's true. It's these relationships that we have of where Quorum has reached out their fingertips into these people all around the globe. And it's just amazing because you're like, oh yeah, I know him. He's a master's student. Like, what are the chances? It's remarkable.
Yeah, I'm teaching here in Sweden for most of the month, and ran into someone that I had taught a couple of years ago. It was just random, has nothing to do with who I'm teaching, and it is really interesting or at Soma. So we're here at Soma. We have these random people coming up. It's like, oh, I'm this guy, and then because we've been talking with him for ages and emails and everything, you finally put a face to a name, and they've been part of Quorum for several years, but finally being able to meet face to face. You're right. That is quite interesting to see how broad the college has come in such a short 8 years.
Yeah, and I think this is a great. It's almost a softball that you threw me there to kind of plug Quorum a little bit for if you're a listener to this podcast and you've yet to consider a trip to Malta, now is the time. Just thinking, we've got the eye care class, the intensive care for austere and remote environments, and then the TTEMS, which is tropical travel and expedition medical skills class, coming up in November in Malta. And the bridge between those two classes is our APIS program, the Austere and Pre-Hospital Ultrasound course, which just was reaccredited by the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh, which is kind of exciting. You get not only a Quorum badge, you also get a RCSED badge. But if you haven't registered, or if you've never been to one of our classes and kind of get that energy of the faculty and what we do, man, look at the calendar now on the website and come to Malta. I'll be there. Aebhric will be there. It's just a great way to see the teaching that goes on and to meet some of these people from around the world that you can then put in your Rolodex, for those of you old enough to remember a Rolodex, but put them into your contacts list and say, hey, I know so-and-so from, Lithuania, or I know so-and-so from the UK, or I know somebody from British Columbia. That's, it's just a great opportunity. So if you have time and space in your calendar and you want to come to Malta, certainly November is a time to do that for one of the certification programs. And then I guess just reaching a little further into the future is our Medicine in the Mediterranean conference. It will be in Malta, January 31 through February 2nd. And that's 3 days of great education, improvised medicine skills, top-notch speakers, and tied into our first ever live graduation ceremony. We'll have a handful of students that have finished either their master's or bachelor's program that will be wearing their cap and gown and walking across the stage on January 31st. So that'll be really exciting as well.
That's going to be a profound event, the commencement of, we've graduated people before, but we've never had them march. So all of our past graduates will have the opportunity to come and march and be awarded and given accolades for what they've done with the college.
Yeah, I think that's really going to be exciting. I mean, you look at the number of people that hold a degree from Quorum, but they've never had the opportunity to do this. It will be fun. It'll be neat to have some of that pomp and circumstance and celebrate their accomplishments. Absolutely.
So you mentioned November. You'll be there. I'll be there, and we're running courses. But it's also a great time to be in Pretty Bay, Malta. It's still swimmable, even though it's a bit chilly. I don't mind. And just walking along the beach when it's not mental, like 45 degrees like it is now. But November is a great time to come. But you're going to be there in November. What will you be doing? Yeah,
so the trip in November also is when we are working with a review team from NAEMT, the National Association of EMTs, who bring you PHTLS, TECC, TCC, AMLS, all of the alphabet courses that are great education opportunities. But we are going through our site visit to become an AMT education center, a authorized training center for NAEMT courses. And that's going to be a great opportunity for us to put on some, shorter classes and probably bridges between some of the bigger classes, but coming in and being able to get your PHTLS and your AMLS, and those tie directly into the bachelor's program as well. So the students that are in the bachelor's program, when they are in Malta for their clinical practical time, they'll get the opportunity to do the NAEMT classes, which are important to have in your portfolio. The other piece that we are in the middle of a site visit that'll also culminate there in November, we are becoming a testing center for the International Paramedic Registry, which is primarily focused right now in Latin America and Central America, but they are the only standardized exam process for EMR, EMT, and paramedic that offers a Spanish language exam. But they also offer English, and their branching out into some other languages as well. So we will be able to offer as a credentialing mechanism for students either in our award remote EMT program or in the bachelor's remote paramedic practice exam or a program, a paramedic exam that is internationally recognized or an EMT exam that is internationally recognized. So November's, not only do we have iCare and TTEMS and APAS happening, we're also doing our site visit for the NAEMT Training Center, as well as a testing site for the International Paramedic Registry.
So that means graduates from our year one program for the Bachelor's of Remote Paramedic Practice will be able to sit for paramedic registry through IPR, as well as earn their tactical paramedic from IBSC.
That's correct. Yeah. And so, when you're out there looking for a job, those credentials on your resume, in addition to your education from Quorum, that makes you a very attractive candidate.
John, my final question for you is this. What advice do you have for the new doctor, the new nurse, the new paramedic who is just now starting out in their career in austere medicine?
You have to know everything. And that sounds incredibly challenging, but it's never an opportunity when you're in this remote environment where you are the healthcare provider that you can't really throw your hands up in the air and say, wonder what we do next. A great example of that, I think, is a story told to me by one of my air medical colleagues in Haiti. And they had a multi-system trauma patient with a significant burn. And they were doing their triage and said, okay, this patient probably should go to the burn ward because of their burn injuries. However, they're also a trauma patient that's definitely going to require some surgical intervention. And for those of us who work in environments that have every resource at your fingertips, you never think about this. But the comment made then was, well, they're going to have to go to the trauma center because they're going to need to be intubated, and the burn center doesn't have a ventilator. And I just think of that and think, that's the people that we teach, the environments that our students work in, that's a triage decision that they have to make. And you want to have the best amount of, tools in your toolbox to draw from and to say, okay, we don't have equipment X. However, I know how to get around that because, in class, we talked about improvised medicine and we talked about this technique and we talked about how to do it with something else that's readily available. And I think that's the thing. When you're starting out, it's overwhelming. But as you get to where your comfort level is, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to work for an NGO, or I want to go on a mission, or I want to work in these really underserved areas of the world, that you have to have this kind of education. And, so seek it out, read all you can about it, and just make yourself better every day. Because when you're confronted with that patient and you're like, I have no idea what to do, you need to know what to do. And, that's the education that Quorum really, really excels at providing.
John, it's great to have you back on the program, and it's great to have you give a warm welcome to the new academic year.
Thank you, Aebhric. Always a pleasure, and we'll keep at it.
This has been a presentation from the College of Remote and Offshore Medicine. If you would like to earn CPD credits for this podcast, you can join the Council of Members. Being a member of the college gives you free CPD credit, free access to our virtual field guide, and discounts on our e-learning courses. You can join the team on our college website at quorum.edu.mt.